This podcast is sponsored by the ultimate course on manifesting more joy into your life. Are you tired of feeling stuck in a rut and searching for something that can bring some happiness into your life? This course is designed to help you uncover the secrets of manifesting more joy and happiness into your life and to keep it consistently. Say goodbye to negativity and hello to a brighter and more fulfilling future. Enroll now and start living a life full of positivity and abundance. It's time to start feeling more joy in your life. Don't wait. Sign up today and open the door to the life you've always wanted. Go to amyvanmeel.com/joy to sign up today. Well, hello. Welcome back to the Manifesting Millions podcast. I am your host, Amy Van Meel. I'm delighted to be here with you today. So, a few changes afoot. Today is going to be an update episode. So if you're not at all interested in all the latest and greatest that's been happening in my life, feel free to skip on over to the next one. So I'm going to do my best to keep the umming and the ahhing to a minimum. I definitely feel a little bit in a different space. And I am, in fact, in a slightly different space from where I've been recording for the last little while. So usually I've been sitting at my kitchen island, just looking out the window and loving the view and yeah. However, I've completely redone my office. So I'm now sitting in my office and had to shift how I have my microphone set up and all of that. So yeah, to kind of give you a little insight as to what is going on in front of me right now, I had the idea over the last, couple of months, some version somewhere on the timeline that just has finished, to start recording the podcast as videos. So today, if I seem a little distracted, it's because I am, because I also have my phone set up on a tripod in front of me so that I can capture the video. I am 1,000% sure there is an easier way to do this, that I don't need, one thing open for recording the podcast and then my phone open for recording the video. And I just had a moment where I was like, oh God, did I even press record on the video? However, I am all about doing it messy and just getting in there and getting it done and then figuring it out. And that's what we're doing. So welcome. If you are watching this as a YouTube video, bless your heart. Thank you for being with me. So today's gonna be a little bit of a blah, a little bit of a barfing all the things, because there's a lot on the go up here between my ears, and I think that it's a good space to kind of clear it out. So like I said, feel free to skip this if you desire to. We're gonna pull all the threads together by the end of the podcast episode. That is my intention for us today. So first of all, let's talk YouTube very quickly. If you've seen any of my videos, and I say that a little bit lightly because I've put out 20 videos over the years. I'm going to just adjust my microphone a little bit because it looks like it's quite loud on my recording stuff. Maybe that'll be better. I've lost my train of thought. See, here we are. This is where we're at today. So if you've seen any of my videos on YouTube before, you may have noticed there's been a bit of a shift. That is because when I originally started the YouTube channel, I had my design business and the videos were all related to interior design. At this current stage in my life's timeline, I've decided just to leave those videos because why not? I think that they still have valuable content. They still could be useful. However, there was 100% a shift between what I used to be creating and what I am now creating. One of the big shifts around that is also going to be the fact that I am not going to over edit videos. I'm not even sure if I'll edit them at all. I have not decided that. Some point in the future when I have a team that's helping me out, somebody who absolutely friggin' loves to edit videos is going to make them beautiful and like make it amazing. And that's going to happen. However, it's not my jam. I can absolutely do it and I'm really good at it, but like it's not my jam. So I'm not gonna. That's how that is. So yeah, so that's where we are with YouTube. For those of you listening on our regular podcast platforms, wherever you're just like, if you're just getting the audio version of me, I'm delighted that you're here. And if you want to check out the videos on YouTube and see what I'm talking about, I feel like very out of touch with YouTube, but I believe if you go to just search my name, it should just be like at Amy Van Meel on YouTube. I made sure I double, triple, quadruple checked that was the correct handle on YouTube so that it matches my Instagram. Technology is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Yeah, so that's where we're at with YouTube. Okay, here's the really fun part about YouTube. Because sometimes when I'm recording podcast episodes, like now, my nose will get a little bit runny. It's been something that's happened for years where like as I'm talking that my nose will just start to drip. So you're going to get the extra pleasure of seeing me potentially powder my nose from time to time. All right. So that's YouTube. That's where we're at there. Let's talk about some major changes. I think that the last podcast episode that came out was shipped on like the Monday after our wedding. I'm pretty sure that's the timing. I vaguely recall saying something along those lines. I definitely did not record a podcast, I don't think, right after the wedding, but I'm not going to lie to you. The last 2 months has been just the wildest, most amazing ride. So there's been a lot going on and I'm really stoked about it. So I am now married. Yay. For those people who are wondering, I have not changed my name, nor do I have any intention of changing my name. I always love that comes up. I also love that nobody ever asks Dave if he's going to change his name. So here we are. We had the most absolutely mind-blowingly amazing wedding day. My hope is that every single bride on the planet gets to have the kind of day that I had, that every couple gets the kind of day that we had. It was just I have dreamt of the day I get married for decades. I know lots of little girls dream about this when they're little, and in our teens and 20s we're dreaming about this. Not everybody, but definitely I was one of them. And I could not have fathomed how truly amazing the day was going to be. Like it was, I knew it was going to be a great day. I was so freaking excited to marry the most amazing person I've ever met, to make that commitment to one another, to celebrate our relationship and our love and joy in each other with our friends and family. And it blew my friggin' mind. So we had some fun leading up to the wedding. The days before the wedding, of course, as most weddings are, very stressful. To top it off, I lost my voice the 2 days before the wedding. I straight up could not talk at all. If I really worked at it, like as if I was shouting, I could make noise. But then I was like, oh God, that hurts. And I don't want to make it worse because I'm hoping that my voice will come back the day of the wedding. So yeah, that was super fun. I was super excited about that. On the Friday, we got married on the Saturday. On the Friday, we had a ton of help showing up at the house to help us get everything set up. We would not have had the day we had without the most amazing people showing up in the biggest, best, most amazing ways in our days. Like it was, my mind is still reeling. I still can't quite believe, or don't quite believe, I don't know, that like it happened and it was so good. So as I lost my voice, I just turned to Dave and went, well, you're in charge tomorrow, because I literally would have to stand next to somebody and like whisper in their ear. And I was trying to not talk as much as possible because whatever was going on, I didn't want to make it worse. So that was super fun. That was really not a great way to kick off the whole celebration. So the Friday night we went for dinner with our most immediate families. And I couldn't talk to anybody. So made like socializing, connecting with people a little less fun, but whatever. It was a great time. Everybody had a great time, and that was what was most important. And somehow, beyond all that I anticipated, it all got done. I definitely was in tears on Friday at some point, just so overwhelmed and thinking like this was never going to come together. It was just going to be, people are going to show up and just be like, what the fuck, Amy? Like, did you do anything? And of course, I realized that there's two of us, but like, yeah, it tends to fall on the bride, which I don't think is fair, but it does. It does have some very neat like side effects, which I'm going to come to in a second. So anyway, it was fine. I have in my network of people, someone who's worked professionally in television for years, and they flew in on the Thursday. We saw them Friday morning, first thing before anybody else arrived. I was so excited to see my friend. I hadn't seen her in years. And like straight up, I couldn't talk. She called on the way over to ask my coffee order, and I had to have Dave answer the phone because they couldn't say anything. So she was like, what is going on? So her husband gave me really great advice, which apparently all the pros do. And I'm going to share this with you now so that perhaps if you ever lose your voice in front of a very important situation, you'll know how to rectify it. He said that what all the pros do is every 30 minutes, they gurgle with warm salt water. So I gurgled all the possible friggin' water I possibly could in, the day before the wedding. And when we got to our hotel room, I gurgled water. I stayed away from like some acidic things. There was a couple of things. I can't remember all the things that he suggested, but like things like lemons or even like tomatoes, which are citrusy, I suppose. So stayed away from those things. Absolutely forgot. Got to the restaurant and like ordered a hot water and lemon. And then my very wonderful fiance goes, babe, you're not supposed to have that. And I'm like, right. Okay. So gave that away without having had any of it. And think I had a green tea. Oh, that was the thing. I think green tea was one of the things that was great. So it was a little bit nutty on the Friday. It was definitely a longer, fuller, much more stressful day than I ever hoped, but everything came together great. Saturday morning, we also got upgraded, so that was super fun. We booked a hotel in Canmore, which is only an hour's drive from where I live, but it was really important to me to wake up in the mountains on our wedding day. And also we wanted to like not add extra stuff into the day of, right? Like, let's be as close as we can to where we're getting married instead of like adding an hour's drive on where anything could happen. And I'm so grateful that we made that decision. The hotel was amazing. They upgraded our room. Dave was told, actually, as we were checking in, I had forgotten, this sounds hilarious, but I had forgotten to go to the bathroom for like 6 hours. And you might be wondering, like, how is that possible? It's possible. There was so much going on. So as we're driving out from our house to Canmore, I think we went through the list like 5 times. Like, okay, we have my dress, we have your suit, we have both of our shoes, we have both of the rings, we have the marriage license. You know, like, is there anything else that we need? And like, just over and over and over going, we have those things, right? Because everything else, if we kind of, and not that we packed really freaking anything, but like if we forgot anything else, whatever, but we needed those things to get married. And about halfway there, I was like, I really got to pee. And actually, you know what? I don't think I've gone to the bathroom since like sometime this morning. So that might be why I really got to go to the bathroom. So when we got there and got checked in, Dave was the one who got us all checked in. And I ran off to go find a washroom because holy moly, I could not even think straight. But he shared with me afterwards that like I had overheard, of course, that we were getting upgraded at some point. And the staff told him that they actually put us in the best room in the hotel, which was just fucking awesome. So unexpected and so very, very cool. We had a 1-bedroom suite planned, and we got upgraded to a 2-bedroom suite that had just the most amazing views. So on Saturday morning when we woke up, our bed, I guess, sort of faced east. I don't know. So you wake up, you're looking towards east. And above the TV, that's always at the like back of the hotel room, there was 3 big windows. And if you're just lying down, all you can see is sky. But if you stood up, so Dave got up to go to the washroom, whatever, and he was like, "Oh my God, babe, we can see the sunrise on the Three Sisters Mountains right now." And I was like, "What?" So he's like, "Sit up, you can see it." So I sat up and I looked out the window, and literally it was one of the most stunning views I've ever seen. It was perfectly framed in these windows. Three Sisters Mountains is a very, very famous set of peaks in Canmore. It's been in tons of art and photography and I'm sure movies and whatever. And we could just see the sun like shining across the peaks. It was the most amazing way to wake up. It was a little bit better than the 6 a.m. alarm that was in the second bedroom that went off, which was not great. And then the 7 a.m. alarm on Dave's phone that went off that I was like, what the hell? And at that point I was like, I'm kind of done. Let's just get up. Even though we planned to get up at 7:30, but like whatever. And we're talking for a few minutes and all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, I have my voice back. So that was amazing. Yeah. Hair, makeup, everything was great. We got married right in the middle of fall. It was literally on the autumn equinox. And Dave was really, really hopeful that the fall colors would come in. We were out there the week before and like we could see like the leaves starting to turn a little, but it was still fairly green and like, yeah, it was just kind of sort of summer vibes. We found out, so my hairstylist and makeup artists, they both live in and around the mountains. And of course they're doing hair and makeup there all the time, said to me, the colors literally changed the day before. They said when we were here like earlier this week, the colors hadn't changed. They literally changed on the Friday and everything was the most brilliant, amazing fall colors, beautiful, like vibrant, gorgeous yellows and oranges. It was absolutely amazing. And like, we were just in awe. It was so, so beautiful. The photographer was a bit worried that we'd have full sun. We did not. We had clouds, not like overcast, but like clouds moving through, which made getting our photographs done quite easy. We had a small panic because we just got married literally in a meadow. And the 2 days before the wedding, I was told that the whole, like, the pathway to get to the meadow, which was not long, but was completely closed off with construction fencing because they were rebuilding the pathway somewhere. And I was like, oh my goodness. So if you can imagine, Friday night, it's pitch black because we got into town late. We were late for the dinner because we were trying to get everything done at the house and try to get everything packed. So we had to go after dinner when it was complete darkness. It was Dave and myself and our friend who married us with our 3 cell phone flashlights on, walking in the dark. Both of myself and my friend like were in heels from dinner. None of us had brought like a jacket or a sweater. It was the most like, and all of us know to be in the mountains to like bring layers. None of us had any of that stuff. We were just thinking about the wedding. So we managed to go down and have a look and see, okay, they must have moved the fencing just enough literally on Friday. So you could actually walk down the pathway, which was important. There was, I think, another way to get there, but it was a long way around. We wanted to be very mindful of our parents of like making sure that it was easy to get to, but we were great. Yeah, so that was kind of a funny little snafu. And then the day was just amazing. Like I said, it was just absolutely amazing. Our photographs went super well. We had a ton of fun. And then we arrived. We were a little bit late getting to our ceremony site because the bride had to go pee. And I was like, I don't want to be standing in the ceremony trying to like listen to the beautiful words and enjoy the moment, and meanwhile kind of hopping on one foot. So it was like, yo, before we go, I got to go to the washroom. So yeah, but anyway, ceremony was amazing. I cried the whole way through because that is just how I am. It did lead to some beautiful moments, whereas I'm trying to read my vows to Dave, there was moments that he straight up like would just pause and like hand me a Kleenex because my nose was dripping, and it's not my finest moment, but I was so very, very in the moment. And we were surrounded by friends and family. It just felt so beautiful and intimate and wonderful. We were able to stream our ceremony to family and friends that lived all over the world. And it all went amazing. It was like friggin' amazing. And then we came back, so everybody drove back to Calgary because of course you don't know this necessarily, but like our dinner and party was in our backyard. And yeah, when we walked in, I was just absolutely flabbergasted because of course I hadn't seen the tables and everything set up. We didn't do any of that the day before because all the dinnerware would just be sitting outside. It was nothing short of spectacular. It was the most amazing. Everybody fit. Everybody had a great time. We had so much food. We ended up having way more alcohol than we needed, which was a really good problem to have. I danced my face off, which was amazing. I realized we bought appetizers for later in the evening because I'm a firm believer that if you're going to be serving alcohol, just have as much as you want. Let's feed people. But those got forgotten about. Like literally an hour and a half after they were supposed to go out, I said to my sister, hey, we were supposed to put out appetizers. What happened? And I was like, well, seems to be enough food around. Nobody's complaining. So off we go. So yeah, it was absolutely spectacular. Everybody had a great time. Everybody had a ton to eat. They all loved the food, which was really great to hear because I made everything. I had some help, thankfully. On the Friday, my sister and my brother were both helping, like cut vegetables, cut cheese, get the marinade ready for the chicken. Like I needed some help because there was a lot going on, but we cooked all the potatoes, we got all of it done. Like everything was made by me, so that was kind of wild. Yeah, and then on the Sunday we did a brunch, which was intended to be a come and go brunch from like 10:30 to 2, and I'm like, people have been out at the wedding, they're gonna want to sleep in. Like we might get a couple of early risers at 10:30, but it's not gonna be crazy. And then there's 30 people standing in my kitchen at 10:30 in the morning while we're still trying to like pull things together. Like we needed to go pick up bread because it wasn't ready at the bakery until then, and started cooking eggs. It was just a little bit nutty. So everybody got put back to work to get the tables and everything set up and get all the food out, and it worked out great. And then, yeah, after everybody left on Sunday afternoon, Dave and I just sat on the edge of our deck in the sunshine. It was the most perfect weekend. It was like 22 degrees and sunny in Calgary. It was absolutely like I could not have asked for better. It was the most amazing experience. And we just sat there kind of in awe and talked about our favorite moments from the ceremony, from the dinner, from the party, from brunch, just kind of what were funny things that he saw or did, what were the neat things that I saw. One of my favorites, and I mentioned before, I'll share something fun about being the bride. So he was saying to me, so we had, our backyard isn't enormous, so we had enough seating for 50 people. That was it. We could not put more than that. It was 52, including Dave and I, and that was max capacity. But in order to make space for dancing, we needed to change over the space that we had the tables. So we collapsed 3 tables down, put those tables and chairs in the garage, brought out a couple of sofas and some armchairs, and like cleared a space for a dance floor. And at the same time, things like the dessert table had to get set up. All the dishes, of course, had to go inside. Candles, everything had to get moved. It was a bit of a like gong show. But everybody, we had warned our guests ahead of time, like, look, this is going to be super personal and like really intimate, but that also means that like we have literally nobody here to do this for us. So we're going to need your help. And it was 30 minutes of sheer chaos, and it was just freaking amazing. It was very cool to see how it all came together. But I love Dave shared the story that he was asking somebody to set something up in a particular way. And I don't know, he doesn't remember what it was, and he doesn't remember who he was talking to. But he said, I was getting some resistance. And they were like, no, I think it should be over here. And he's like, no, we want it set up in this way. And they're like, no, but I think that actually it'd be better if we do it this way. And then he finally goes, the bride wants it this way. And they were like, oh, and like right away got it done. So Dave shared the story with me afterwards, and I was like, I don't think I've ever been used as a trump card before. And I think that's kind of fun. So yeah, definitely like if you are engaged and planning a wedding, particularly if you are the non-bride who's doing all the planning, please be kind. And also recognize that like after the wedding, like it can very easily be like this super weird power trip, because it's literally like everybody just keeps saying this, like whatever the bride wants, the bride gets. And I'm like, that could go really sideways, like real quick. So just be kind if you have brides in your life that they might be feeling a little like power hungry, but they might also just be like, oh my God, it's a lot, because it is a lot. So that was the wedding. It was the most spectacular, experience of my life. I've had some really, really amazing experiences in my life, and that one tops all of them. It just blows me away how amazing it was. Dave and I were just shining with joy for, weeks. Like it's been kind of wild. So then, went back to work on the Wednesday. My friend said, why are you going back to work on the Wednesday? And I said, well, we're a little bit limited on vacation. We had a few things that happened this year that required some vacation time. So we're kind of running tight on vacation time. So, anyway, would recommend if you could to take the whole week off, because the love bubble is real. That space after the wedding, like the Monday, Tuesday was such an amazing time. And it's my only regret that I wish that we would have taken the rest of the week off so that we could have stayed in that bubble a little longer, because it was such joy and love. But went back to work on the Wednesday, promptly had an anxiety attack, which I have never, ever had in my life. I don't share a lot about work, and I haven't shared a lot, but it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge for a while. And all this year, I just kept going. I just need to we need to get through the wedding. The wedding, there's costs involved in the wedding. I don't want to be like running up to the wedding, freaking out about money, not loving my job, really struggling in it, but I'm going to stay. We're going to get through the wedding, and then I'm going to figure out what's next. So to come back to work literally the first day following the wedding and have an anxiety attack, I honest to goodness thought I was going crazy. I thought there was something wrong with me. I did not understand what was going on. I could not stop crying. And even as I'm just like, what is happening? Like I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't catch my breath. I finally messaged my boss and was like, I'm not feeling well. I gotta go. I'll be back tomorrow, or we can chat tomorrow, whatever. And then reached out to a super good friend of mine, and I was like, I think I'm having an anxiety attack. Do you have space to chat with me? Because I don't know what the fuck's going on. So it's really important to have really amazing friends in your life, and friends in your life who will honestly share with you from time to time, and reflect, hold a mirror for you when needed. So this friend said to me, they'd been through similar experiences in the past, and they said, your body is done. Like, I took a mental wellness leave earlier this year for a month, which was very needed. But she goes, you've known for a while that it's time to go. You've been holding it together to get through. But she says, you know, there's all these other lines of defense that will fall first, and our body is the last to go. But when our body starts to fail in ways like this, it's like, then the question is, do you keep going because it's only going to get worse? So I super appreciated her candor and her honesty, and reflecting back to me, I knew I'd known for a long time that it was time to go, but like, I wasn't quite sure where I was going next and what that would look like. I shared with my boss the following morning, and I had a really amazing boss at that point, and just said, I had an anxiety attack. I really need to rethink what I'm doing. So took the Thursday, Friday off, and really just kind of I don't know how else to say that. I tidied, I cleaned up things from the wedding, I organized things, you know, I was doing small things. Like, I wasn't like going crazy trying to get stuff done, but I was doing things because there's something about moving and doing things with your hands that just lets your brain sort of process and heal. And it was Friday afternoon when I realized I felt completely calm, very happy, very relaxed, because I hadn't thought about work in like 2 days. And it was the most clear signal that I ever could have had that basically said, it's time to go. You know it's time to go. So now it's time to make the decision. So I went back in and handed in my resignation the following week. Worked out the rest of the month, but like was done. So that's another big thing that's happened. And I have not actually shared this publicly. So it's kind of weird to share it on the podcast first. But here we are. Kind of share a lot with all of you. So you're welcome. Anyway, so I had just 2 weeks before the wedding, I'd been reassigned to a new team. So I have been a leader of teams for more than 3 years. I had been kind of without a team for a couple of months over the summer, which is probably what allowed me to keep going without having like extreme anxiety earlier. Being able to work on some like projects and stuff, which I could kind of adjust how much exposure I had to others was really helpful. But then shifting into, you know, being assigned to a new team, it was a large team, a team that had a lot. They'd gone through so much change in the previous 6 months in particular. There was a lot of disconnect. There was some anger. There was a ton of fear. And so I made the decision that, you know, I knew I was quitting, but I went, you know what? I am going to give this team everything I've got. My intention is that when I finish my time with this team, that I leave them in a much better place than I found them. And I think I accomplished that. I received some shares from a number of people on the team on my last 2 days that I was there, that in fact they felt way better, way more hopeful, really aligned with what was possible for them. This is a team of people that had lost the ability to make goals and plan for the future anymore. They just couldn't see past the fear of what might happen. And they were stuck. They were stuck in this energy. So I just came in and went, we're going to be completely candid. We're going to be completely honest. I pulled no punches with anybody. I made sure that they, you know, I spoke intentionally. Got to be very careful. You don't burn down the house and then be like, bye, everybody. But it was amazing to see the transformation in the team, and really also how it was helpful for me that touch point of one-on-one work with folks to remind myself how powerful I am as a coach and how how well I can align with folks and help them like really create some pretty amazing results. And it doesn't need to take that much time. So that was like, for a personal side, a very, very cool win that I really enjoyed. So I then finished work and went, I didn't know what to do next. Like it's been a very interesting time. So I have some ideas. I think I'd like to get out of the house a little bit, and, you know, potentially take on some part-time work or something. I'm not quite sure. But very much focusing in on like really clocking in and getting down to the business of manifesting millions, because, oh my goodness, y'all, I am so unbelievably excited for what we are going to create together. I have had insights and downloads coming through constantly. I am so unbelievably excited about what that's going to mean for each of you, whether it's something as simple as you listening to the podcast or like checking in with me on YouTube, or if you decide to take up some of the online offerings that I have currently and that I am like feeling all the like sparks to create. I have one right now that is like in the chamber that I just, I'm excited about. So yeah, but most important, what was a very weird thing was rest. This message of needing rest kept coming through. It came through in every single coaching session that I had for like a month and a half, maybe more. It was constantly coming through in like astrology readings. It was showing up in emails. It was showing up in like freaking random Instagram posts. It was just this constant like, rest. You need to rest. You need to rest. You need to rest. And I'm like, all right, I'll rest for a couple of days. That's fine, you know? So like I finished on a Tuesday. Wednesday I went for brunch and then kind of chilled out. Thursday I could not believe how much I napped. I literally napped 4 times in one day. And I was just like, how can a person even need to sleep this much? Like, I'm not sick. And I still went to bed and slept the whole night. The following week, I definitely felt some friction of like, but I should be doing something. Shouldn't I be doing something? And like having no energy to do it. And it took a moment to be able to kind of recognize what was going on and surrender to the fact that, yes, I was lit up in coaching that team for the last month, but also it took everything I had. And while I was willing to give that to the team, before I could do anything else, before I could create anything for all of you, for anything else, I really needed to take time to heal and rest. So only my most immediate family was told that I had left my job. I didn't talk with anybody. I literally just felt a little bit like a hermit, but in the most wonderful way. I kept a similar schedule. I think this is super important. I'm sharing this because I'm hoping that like if any of you ever have sort of similar situations, maybe you can glean some insight from my experience. I kept a similar schedule. So my alarm still went off at 6:15 in the morning. I didn't always get up at 6:15. Sometimes it was 6:30, but I always got up in the morning. I would sit with Dave in the morning. I'd make my smoothie and sit with him. After he left, I would make a coffee and I would read. And that reading would very often for a while devolve into a nap where I'd be like, oh, I can't keep my eyes open anymore. So just have a little couch nap, which are honestly my favorite. And then some exercise. And I say exercise loosely. There were days that I felt energetic enough to like hit the treadmill and do a run, or maybe do a strength training workout. There were definitely more days that I just needed to intentionally go, okay, movement is good for the body. And I do have this like sense of wanting to move. Let's just go for a walk around the block. Maybe we do 2 laps and that's it. If it's really freaking cold, because it was at the transition point, you know, we're not quite into winter yet, but it's starting to become winter here. Maybe I like walk on the treadmill or do a lighter workout. Like if I'm going to do a strength training, I may not go as hard as I would before. And really listening to and honoring my body in that space, which as a go-getter, as someone who is like fired up and like used to being able to just like freaking go like crazy, very weird space to be in. But it just kept coming through and through and through. And the wild thing is, so today is the 22nd of November as I'm recording this. It's literally been 3 weeks since I finished my job, and it feels so much longer ago. Like it feels months ago that I was there. I've been in this really interesting like vortex of time in the last 3 weeks. Saying out loud 3 weeks is really like hitting home to me that like it's not actually been that long. So so that's been kind of wild. So just really, I've been reading a crap ton. I have read some of the most amazing books. I think like 6 books on the go right now. A book that I finished up last week is called Mind to Matter. Highly recommend. If you're interested, especially in more of the science behind like how we create what exists in our life. Very fascinating. I'm reading one by Joe Dispenza right now that I could not, oh my gosh, like I'm later in my office today than I intended to be because I could not put chapter 1 down. I was like, tell me more and tell me more and tell me more. Like I had to just keep going, which puts my workout out back and blah, blah. So anyway, it's very, very cool. Again, very similar. So I have a funny little, it's funny to me. Maybe nobody else thinks it's funny, but I'm going to share it with you. Maybe you'll think it's funny. So I've been getting a lot into quantum physics and not like I'm going to search out quantum physics like courses or anything, but it's been showing up in like everything that I've been reading. And then not so much listening to, but definitely everything that I've been reading. I failed physics, like quit physics before I failed it way back in high school. So very, very short story. When I was in grade 12, which is senior year of high school for those of you who don't have grades, I decided that I wanted to be a physiotherapist. And in order to become a physiotherapist, I needed to have my physics 11 and 12. So I don't know what that is. Is it your sophomore year? It's your second last year. Whatever your second last year is and your last year, I needed those 2 levels of physics. Well, I hadn't taken any physics the year before. So a friend of mine was in the same boat. Both of us straight A students, very, very smart. We're like, okay, we're going to sign up for both 11 and 12 physics. Hopefully 11 physics is in the first semester and 12 physics is in the second. Because if 12 physics is in the first, this could get real messy. Well, wouldn't you know, 12 physics was in the first semester. Class is quite small. I think there was maybe 10 or 12 of us. And we're in with people who actually are like, this, I don't mean this judgmentally, but the students who are typically like solid B students, right? We were kind of used to, I suppose, being the smart kids in class and like picking up on things. Anyway, so 2-3 weeks in, the 2 of us were absolutely fucking drowning. We had no fucking idea what was going on. We could not wrap our minds around the concepts. The first test came. It's the only test I think I've ever had that I failed and like failed miserably. Like it wasn't like I don't think I was anywhere close to 50%. I was like probably in the 30 or very low 40%. And the teacher knew, like she knew what we were trying to do, but she was like, okay, so it's up to you. You can stay and we can keep working and hopefully the grade will get better. Or if you decide to, so we have this thing in Canada where you can, I don't know if this is everywhere in the world, but in Canada where there's like a voluntary withdrawal date where if you leave a class before this date, it doesn't sit on your transcript. So you're not carrying a bad grade on your transcript, but it's only a certain amount of time that you can do that. I think both of us dropped the class. So that's fine. Never went back to physics, never did physics in university. Then I met Dave, whose literal university degree was in physics. And I was just like, this is legit the only class that I've ever failed, and I use failed loosely because I just quit before I got there. Like, okay, this is fine. I feel a little bit dumb, but it's going to be fine. So now I'm reading all about quantum physics, and I was just like, what is my life? Like, I never took a physics class in my life. So last week, as I was reading this Mind to Matter book, I was talking about some like quantum physics concepts, which I'm very excited to really simplify and bring into the courses that I have cooking, that I'm just so excited for all of you to get into. But so there was things like the observer effect and the theory of entanglement, and they were talking about them in the book as if these were absolute certainties, and I'm like, but this doesn't make any sense. So I bent Dave's ear for like an hour and a half one evening last week, and I was like, yo, you took physics in university. You're Mr. Smarty Pants. Explain these things to me. And he's like, well, it means this, it means this. And I'm like, but how do they know it means this? And he's like, well, they can like do da-da-da. And I'm like, so one of the examples had to do with distance, where it's a theory of entanglement, very quick, where you can entangle two electrons and they will stay connected, whereby if something applies to one electron, so do my best to explain this. Assume they sort of rotate around one another, right? So if you apply something to one electron, it causes the other electron to move as well. Okay, with you so far. Apparently this entanglement, this connection, remains in place no matter how great the distance. So I'm like, okay. So they said, from if one electron was in Paris and the other one was in San Diego, if we applied a force, I know if you're a science person, do not send me hate mail. If you apply a force to the electron in Paris, the electron in San Diego will also respond. So if that changes the Paris, whatever rotation, the other one changes as well. And I am like, how do they know this? How do they know that the electron that they have in San Diego is the same electron that was entangled with the electron in Paris? Electrons are tiny. How do they know that it's the same one? How do you possibly take that electron, move it across the world, and test it? And that's where like my brain was the melting face emoji. And Dave was just like, well, they don't, because they haven't literally done that. They do all these tests in a vacuum, but electrons are tiny and the vacuum is like a meter squared. I'm like, but that is nothing compared to the distance of Paris to San Diego. We had to just I had to come to the conclusion of, you know what? This might just be something that I kind of got to take on faith for now, and like sort of hold over there as this like, all right, let's see what this concept is about, because OMG, I could not. It's still and the melty face emoji. This is the benefit of YouTube, is that like on the podcast, none of you get to see the funny faces that I make. On YouTube, you'll get to see the funny faces that I make. You're welcome. Yeah. So anyway, so I've been reading a ton of books. I got completely sidetracked with what I was talking about. I've been reading a ton of books. I'm reading a Joe Dispenza book right now that's something like breaking the habit of being yourself. That, like I said, I just... like the first chapter, I was like, tell me all the things. Which also, again, talked about very briefly the observer effect, the theory of entanglement, quantum physics, quantum consciousness. And I was just like, I never, had I known when I was 16 that all of this would become such a big deal for me when I was 40, then maybe I would have taken physics earlier so I had a base point to kind of work from. So that's what I've been doing a ton of. I'm also reading, this is an amazing book. You can see it because I'm holding it up on YouTube, but those of you in the podcast can't. But it is Neville Goddard, which is one of my coach's favorite authors. There's this really great, I'm only working my way through The Power of Awareness. That's the first book. The book that I have is a combination. It's The Power of Awareness and Feeling is a Secret. I think I'm on like chapter 4 of The Power of Awareness. Each chapter is so unbelievably like stuffed full of amazing insights. I'm also reading one by Richard Dotz called It Is Done. I've lost track of all the books that I'm reading. I have like a romance fiction for like the moments that I just kind of want to chill the fuck out and kind of like, let's just read fun things. I haven't picked it up for a while, but I've been working my way through The Big Leap, which is also really great, by Gay Hendricks. I've been reading a ton. I literally like am reading all the time, taking in a phenomenal amount of information, and very, very, very excited to simplify these really big ideas, these really big concepts, into something that is useful for you. So, little teaser. Let's do a little teaser. One of the things, one of the ideas that I've had come through, and I haven't started writing it yet, but I'm going to very shortly, and very possibly like today or tomorrow, I'm going to be sending out a post inviting people to sign up for the package before it's even created. It's a big leap of faith to do this, but I'm excited. So one of the things that I've noticed so often, information is shared that is so big and examples are given that are so extreme that I find, at least, they become very difficult to bring into our day-to-day. So one example of this is, I'll call it the idea of gratitude. Now, gratitude is a very simple one because it's been talked about in lots of different ways. But perhaps if you have been on the planet a similar length of time as me, then there was a time when you were young where you didn't want to finish what was on your plate because who the fuck likes Brussels sprouts when they're 7? And you were told that you had to finish your plate, and after you refused for a while was told there are starving children in Africa who would love to have what you have in front of them. Now, maybe you were like, you're right, I should eat these. Or maybe you were more like me. It was like, well, how do I mail this to them? Because I don't want it. It was like, will happily give up my food. If they will enjoy it, please eat it. I am not interested. What I'm trying to get to is that we have been told these extreme examples of suffering and lack and pain as a way for us to have gratitude for what exists in our life. You should be grateful that you have this food in front of you because there are millions of people starving to death. It's like, okay, but I've never seen those millions of people. I have no concept of what that is, especially when you're young. Even as an adult, I have an intellectual concept of what that is, but I've never experienced it. Thank very, very much that I've never experienced it. Another popular example that really shows up as adults that, like, I don't know about you, but I have struggled with this one. You'll hear stories of overcoming and it's always the like wildest stories, right? Like they nearly died and they lost all of their limbs and they lost the ability to speak, and somehow they still managed to start this business and now they're doing all these things and look at them at this huge success. And those have always left me feeling like, fuck, I am really wasting my life and my potential. If this is what all these people are doing, they're absolutely amazing. And here I am, like, struggling to, like, sign in for my job in the morning, right? Like, it just left me feeling so small and belittled in a way. So I was listening to, that's what I have. I'm not reading a book. I'm listening to an audiobook by, it's going to come to me, Dale Carnegie, called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, I believe. It's on YouTube. It's a 9-hour book. I think I'm on like hour 5. It's taking me a little bit. I listen to it in the car when I'm driving. I've been loving it so far, just like absolutely soaking it in. But there was a number of examples that were given that were these really extreme examples. And I remember thinking, like, why do they have to be extreme? Why do we think that the way to communicate information is by communicating it in these really extreme situations? The last example that I'll give is the idea of living every day as if it was your last. Now, I don't think there is a human alive, at least in first world countries, who has not heard that multiple times in our lives, right? I mean, put your hand up if you're like, yep, 100% Amy, I have heard that. But it got me thinking. So the idea of living every day as if you're last. So I'm like, okay, so if today were my last day on the planet, and I knew this, I absolutely knew that like tomorrow literally was not going to come. This was it. This was the end. Well, then I'm going to fucking go all out, right? Because there are no consequences to anything that I do today. So fuck it. Let's blow every possible dollar that we have on some amazing experience. Let's skip work. Let's just ignore everything. Let's go. I don't know. Like, there are no consequences. So if I knew absolutely that tomorrow did not exist and I would not need to like account for any of the decisions that I'd made today, well, then I'm going to go all out today. I understand. Don't send me hate mail. I understand that the idea of this being shared is to encourage us to really embrace the day that is in front of us instead of constantly waiting for tomorrow. Totally get it. However, can't we just say that? Hey, and this is a legit conversation that I had with some of the folks in the team that I was leading right before I left my job. You get to choose however you create your reality. 100%. If you want to stay in the situation that you are in, if you want to feel completely out of control, you want to believe this lie that like everything exists outside of you and you have no choice and you're kind of left with whatever the people or forces or experiences that be show up in your life, you 100% can do that. Yep, no judgment here. Knock yourself out. It is your life. You have the choice to do that. However, if you're not loving your life, if there's parts of it, maybe all of it, that you're just like, this is a trash fire and I'm not enjoying this, then you also have the opportunity to change that. But you have to make the choice. It is your life. It is nobody else's life. Nobody else is living it for you. And I've heard this before as well, the idea of like, I can't remember exactly how it's been said, but basically that the only one who lives the consequences of your decisions is you. So if you choose not to go after something because you're afraid of how somebody else might take it or what they might feel or whatever, you're the one who has to live with those consequences. Maybe your mom doesn't want you to be, I don't know, like a photographer, because they're like, nope, that isn't a sustainable way to make a living. You'll always be struggling. You'll be broke. It's going to be blah, 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 all the reasons, right? But in your soul, you are dying as your job as an accountant, which is your mom approved job. She's delighted. She gets to tell all her friends, oh my God, my son or daughter is an accountant and they're doing amazing and they're like getting promoted all the time. They're blah, blah, blah. You're the one who has to live with the consequences. At the end of the day, yes, your mom might be disappointed if you're like, fuck it, I'm going to be a photographer. But if that means that your life lights up and that you feel whole and on purpose and you feel like you are moving in the direction that you actually desire to be, and you'll know this. It is not this idea, I'm getting very down the rabbit hole and I'm going to try to wrap it up. This idea of like needing to discover a purpose is something that I've wrestled with for a very long time. And that's in part why these last 3 weeks have been so absolutely mind-boggling for me. But this recognizing that like, you know, our purpose for being is literally just to be. That's actually just our purpose for being here. I'm not going to go through all the things behind it. I'll cover that in the courses somewhere. However, when I think about like, what is the work that I'm here to do? It is so much different than what I thought. OMG, is it ever different? Like I don't even know how to describe it just yet, but I know how it feels. And that's the important thing. When I am in where my soul lights up, I feel that. It is unmistakable. And I totally get, you know, there's responsibilities and blah, blah, blah. 100% get it. Not arguing those points at all. But this idea that like we don't know what it is that we want, we intellectually don't know because we're tuning into the wrong part. It's here. It's here that knows. It's our heart for our podcast people. I forget that you can't see me. It's our heart. This is where we know. It's deep inside. It doesn't come from outside. It's not from people around us saying, you'd be really great at this. You're amazing at this. You would, oh my goodness, the list of things that people could come to me and say, Amy, you're fucking amazing at these things. You should do this. It's a long list. None of those things light me up. They're fun. I enjoy doing them. I'm good at a whole bunch of things. But there are specific things that like absolutely just like friggin' light me up from the inside that feel effortless and fun, and like I just enjoy doing them. I do them because I want to. Like that's the part that's been really blowing my mind of like, oh, this is purpose. This is what it is. Okay. Good to know. So, have we covered everything? We've been together for a while. It is, according to my podcasting timer that I'm seeing here, we've been together for about an hour. I didn't know I had so much in me to tell all of you. I trust that if you are listening to this point, I am so fucking delighted that you have stayed with me. If you are watching the YouTube video, woo, bless your heart for staying with me because fun little fact. So, very quick. It's well known that like if we can see ourselves on screen, we get completely distracted. We will just stare at ourselves. So all the years that I was in meetings, especially in one-on-ones, but it didn't matter whether I was just one-on-one with a person or I was in a group meeting, I always turned off the thing that showed me my video. Once I knew I was like centered in, I didn't care. I turned it off because all I would do was stare at myself the whole time. It was annoying. I was just like, oh my God, am I this like completely narcissistic person who just needs to look at myself all the time? And then I read something like a year or two after I had already started turning my video off because it was distracting me. This happens to everybody. So to give you an idea, while I'm currently recording I just about said TV show, while I'm recording the video for you, I have a Post-it over top of the screen that shows me. I can see my hands waving about from time to time on the side of the screen, but I have a Post-it over top, which also is, fun fact, helping me to have better eye contact with the camera so that you and I look like we're looking at each other, because that's kind of great for like some connection. But yeah, so I have a Post-it. I don't know where I was going with this. Anywho, it's been a great catch up. I have absolutely delighted in spending time with you. Thank you so much for being here with me. Definitely keep tuning in. This energy, like it is building, it is growing. I am so unbelievably excited. I know I've said this so many times, but fuck am I fucking joned. I'm so excited about what is coming out. And you should be too, because it's coming out all over you in the best possible way. A sparkle bomb for everybody. So if you haven't yet, go get connected to me on Instagram. You can find me at Amy Van Meel. I always put the link in the show notes in my podcast, in YouTube. I'll figure it out, but like it's the same as my YouTube handle, if that makes sense. I don't know where the YouTube handle shows up. It doesn't matter, but like, anyway, we'll figure that out. We're learning, all right? We are learning technology. So check me out on Instagram. Socials are fine. They're not something I've ever super gotten into. So like it's an effort for me to use them as part of my business and like sharing. So I don't do all the other ones. I do have a TikTok account and I probably will start like adding some things to them, but everything is just under my name, Amy Van Meel. No spaces, no punctuation, just my name, all one word. So get connected with me there. If somehow you are finding me on YouTube first of all, that's fucking amazing. And definitely if you want to listen to past episodes, because you know what? Actually, this might be my 100th podcast episode. I haven't looked, but I do recall that I was in the high 90s when I was recording before the wedding. And I feel like I seem to vaguely recall going, oh my gosh, the next podcast episode is going to be my 100th episode. All right, I'm going to find out after I finish recording. But if this is my 100th episode, fucking hooray! 100 episodes. That's pretty cool. I've been going at podcasting for a couple of years, and I definitely am a little on again, off again. But I absolutely love doing the podcast. So if you want to go check out past episodes and hear more random musings from me, you can find the podcast at Manifesting Millions. It's the only thing that's a little bit different than my social handles. So yeah, it's on like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all the places the podcasts I think are on. I know those two. And I really only use one. So like for me personally to listen to podcasts. So go find the podcast, Manifesting Millions, tons of episodes, possibly 100, definitely high 90s. And that's it. If you're listening on the podcast or if you're watching me on YouTube, if this was helpful or entertaining at all to you, I would love to hear from you. Reach out to me via Instagram because that's where I live. Do the review thing, the likes, the subscribes, the follows, all the things that you're supposed to do that lets you know when I have something new coming out. Do the things, okay? You know how to do the things. You don't need me to tell you how to do the things. You know the liking and the subscribing and the booping and the liking and the... Do all of those. And keep an eye out because, yeah, what I have cooking, I am really, really excited about. And I'm going to do some really spectacular offers to kick off the first some amount of orders with. So if you're curious, especially if you want to work with me personally, definitely get your buns on Instagram and follow the account so that you can pay attention to what's coming up. Because that's, other than the podcast, that's the only place I'll be announcing it because that's the only place I exist. So have the most fucking amazing week. Whenever you are listening to this, I am just sending you so much love. I am so, so glad that you have spent this time with me. I really, really enjoy sharing with you and connecting with you. So thank you. Thank you very much for being here. And I'm sending you a ton of love. And I wish you absolutely everything amazing going forward. Bye.